John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Ulzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert with almost 30 years of experience in the credit industry. I have spent time at FICO, which is the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the 3 credit reporting agencies in the United States. All right, so today's question is actually a good one from a viewer. Are free credit scores fake or real? So I know where this comes from. This comes from a very well-known, self-styled financial guru who for many, many years suggested that any credit score that was given away to consumers on various websites were fake credit scores, and therefore you shouldn't get them because they were meaningless and they had no value and because they were fake. All right, of course that's all incorrect, and I'm going to explain why that is all incorrect. So today's kind of trajectory of credit-related products that are available to consumers, so credit reports, credit scores, credit monitoring, security freezes, every single thing that I've just mentioned is free. You don't have to pay anybody to freeze your credit reports. You can get free credit reports between now and the end of April of 2022 through annualcreditreport.com. You can monitor your credit reports for free. There's really nothing that you pay for these days, credit report wise, unless you choose to pay for them. So really, everything is free, not just credit scores. And so kind of using this weird logic, then anything you're getting for free is fake, which makes absolutely no sense. So that's why that's just bogus. All right. So let's talk about what makes a credit score a quote unquote real credit score. A credit score has to meet certain criteria, minimum criteria, in order for it to be A, legal to use in the United States, and B, for it to be used, kind of have usability from a practical sense. I mean, you can build a product and no one buy it, and who cares that you built it? You can build a product and everyone buy it, and then everyone cares about the product. So that's kind of how it is with credit scores. There are a lot of really, really good credit scores that have zero traction in the world of consumer finance because either they're only available from one of the credit reporting agencies, or there are just so many other options that lenders are already using that they just don't want to take the time to convert from one scoring system to another. So just because you build it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have any sort of market share or traction in the consumer finance world. And so let's talk about what makes for a legitimately real and commercially used credit score. Number one, it's got to comply with the requirements of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The ECOA, which has a lot of provisions, the one provision specific to credit scores is this. In order for a credit score to be used in the United States by US-based lenders, or lenders who are doing business in the United States, a credit score has to be empirically derived and statistically and demonstrably sound, all right? So what that means in English for people who are not statisticians, and I'm not a statistician, so I try to break this down in kind of vernacular that we all can understand, is it has to be built using generally accepted mathematical processes, that's the empirically derived, and then the demonstrably sound means that you have to be able to show that it works. So it has to be built using statistics, and you have to be able to prove that it actually works. So statistically or empirically derived and demonstrably sound, meaning that it has to actually rank order consumers based on their level of risk, and it has to be built using generally accepted mathematical processes. So if you do that, then your score is ECOA compliant and you're well on your way to building a score that is a real score that can be used in the United States. Number two, it has to be Fair Credit Reporting Act compliant, FCRA compliant. Again, the FCRA is like 90 some odd pages, and not all of that deals with credit scores. But when it comes to credit scores in the FCRA, you have to be able to, the credit score that you use has to also provide the score factors as to why the score wasn't higher, and those factors are used in the declination letters that are sent to consumers who are denied credit based on their credit scores. That's an FCRA requirement. So whatever credit score you use has to produce those score factors along with the 3-digit number. And as long as it does, it is FCRA compliant. And then again, you've reached step 2. You've complied with step 2. Step 3 is that your scoring system really has to be tri-bureau, meaning that it has to be available from all 3 of the credit reporting agencies. Why? Because most lenders have relationships with all 3 of the credit bureaus, and a lender doesn't want to buy a certain type of credit score from Equifax and a different credit score from Experian and a different score from TransUnion. They want to try to buy the same score from all 3 of them, so their underwriting policies don't have to be different based on what credit bureau they're using for data. So it really needs to be a tri-bureau scoring system. There are really only 2 of those right now, FICO and VantageScore. They're both tri-bureau scoring systems, doink. And number 4 is you gotta flip the switch, right? It has to be commercially available to lenders, to collectors, to any influencing like the rating agency. So any organization that uses credit scores or influences an industry to use scores, they're only going to do that with a score that's commercially available. So if you have a score that is commercially available, ECOA and FCRA compliant, and tri-bureau, then you are well on your way to building a score that can be used and will be used in the U.S. market. Now, just because you do this doesn't mean that any lender is going to buy it. It also has to perform, okay? So the performance has to be there. It's got to perform, which means it has to do a good job of separating applicants that are going to pay their bills on time from applicants that are not going to pay their bills on time. Then and only then will you have a score that is actually a real credit score and can be used in U.S. lending. No score that is available to U.S. lenders today is a fake credit score. That would be illegal for them to use. So anyway, hope this answers some questions about credit scores. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.